Yo, what is going on, guys? Matthew V. Haynes here, aka The Clock Master. So, if you are new to my channel, I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for subscribing. If you subscribed from my recent Avengers Endgame reaction, which got over 100k views in a week, which I'm very happy about because I haven't seen 100k views in a while, so I'm happy for that. But if you came here from that, please make sure to stick around, check around, and see what else you like. But I want to thank you for subscribing. I hope I continue to entertain you, give you what you subscribed for. So today, we are going to be doing a little bit of a ranking video. Now, this video is going to be ranked a little bit differently. It's not like your traditional ranking video. I saw this platform, it's called Tier Maker, and I figured, I found the system to be quite interesting, how they rank things. So it goes from a F to S ranking. So S rank being like the top tier, the best out of the best, and F obviously being the worst, and everything in between from A to E is tolerable, or you can kind of gauge it from that. So we're going to be ranking all 22 MCU films, in my opinion, from worst to best. There's going to be a couple in the S ranking section. There's going to be and some are going to be sharing the same tier as well. So it's not going to be from rank number 22 all the way down to number 1. So if you guys like this type of ranking system, let me know in the comments down below. I think it's pretty cool and fun. Let's give it a shot. Let's go. Now the movies are organized from the first MCU movie to Endgame. So Endgame is included in this list, obviously. So we're just going to go from the first one. So the first movie we see here is Avengers: Age of Ultron. Where do I place this movie? Now, this movie had a lot of good things working for it. It was the second film in the Avengers lineup of the Avengers movies, and it introduced to us Ultron, and we got to see the team get back together and do more things, post New York and all that. So I thought that was cool. We got introduced Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, and all those aspects were cool. But there's certain things about that movie that's just kind of, I found boring. There's things that I loved, like Hulkbuster versus Hulk. That scene was really cool, and also a few other things. And I personally loved Ultron as a villain, and I'll probably do a villain ranking as well. But there was just some stuff in between there that was just kind of meh, So for that, I'm gonna have to place Age of Ultron in the C category. Don't hate me, okay? That's gonna go in the C. I'll put it right in the middle because it wasn't that great and it wasn't that bad either. The second movie is going to be Ant-Man. A lot of people don't like Ant-Man, and I love Ant-Man because of the comedy. I love Paul Rudd. I love the whole cast. I think his name is Carlos Pena, I think, is one of the character's best friend. He was a lot of fun. The whole movie was just a lot of fun, and I appreciated the villain. I appreciated the story. I appreciated the connection between Hank Pym and Scott Lang, and all that was cool. So for that, I'm gonna, and don't hate me, but I'm actually going to put Ant-Man at B. I feel like Ant-Man is a B rank film. Again, just my opinion, okay? It's just my opinion. I already know some of y'all already unsubscribed by now, and y'all already left the channel, but it's just my opinion, okay? That being said, though, Ant-Man and the Wasp, the sequel to Ant-Man, wasn't really my favorite. It lacked a lot of the comedy, and it was more like I consider it a filler movie to kind of connect between Ant-Man or connect from the Avengers Infinity War going into Endgame, showing what happened within the quantum realm, and kind of to try to show Ant-Man's importance within Endgame because he's the one that brought the whole quantum idea up. So I feel like it was more of a setup for that, which basically that's what it was. But I didn't think it was as great as the first Ant-Man movie. So I'm actually going to put Ant-Man and the Wasp at a D ranking. So there we go. I didn't think it was that great of a film. And here we go. We have the first Avengers movie. This is coming right here. The very first Avengers movie. Obviously, I saw this, like many of you guys here, saw this movie in the theaters. I was still in school at the time. I think I was maybe in middle school or early years in high school maybe. And when I saw this movie, seeing everyone circle around was just one of the greatest things I could ever see on screen at the time, being a huge Marvel fan. And that was the first time we're seeing all our characters from all these movies previously come together on the screen. It's a moment that a lot of people aren't going to forget. So for that, and because of the story and how everything was handled and the score and just I think that movie was shot on film. I just loved how everything looked in that film. I'm going to give the very first Avengers an S rank rating. Yes. My list is all over the place here. I know. I'm sorry. All right, right after that is Black Panther. Huge Black Panther fan. Y'all know this. All right, if you've been to my channel, if you've seen me on my channel for a while, you know I'm a huge Black Panther fan. If you've been following me for a couple of years, you already know this. And I was so excited for this movie, and the announcement had me just like, I was super pumped for it. And I read a lot of the comic books, and I seen this movie way too many times to count. So it was just nice seeing African representation in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, black representation in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and them taking a bunch of traditional concepts and a lot of cultural things, mixing it with the futuristic elements and the fantasy elements, and also some realistic elements as well about African culture, and just kind of putting it all together. So I feel like that is just what's really cool. But because my personal bias, man, for a lot of African Americans, Afro-Caribbean, I'm Afro-Caribbean, and a lot of just Africans in general all have different viewpoints on Black Panther. There's a lot of African Americans that don't like it, they thought it was too much, and there's a lot of other African Caribbean, Afro, European or whatever, that may like it even more. But for me, as an Afro-Caribbean person, my personal bias, I would give Black Panther an S ranking, just because of what it meant to the black culture, what it meant to African American culture, what it meant to just African people all over the world. What this movie meant for us meant a lot. So for me, I'm gonna give that an S ranking. I feel, and plus too, Ludwig Göransson did the score for this film, and he's one of my favorite composers. Like, I gotta give this movie an S rank rating. All right, it's gonna be low for some of y'all, but I'm giving that movie an S. Moving on, we have the very first Captain America the First Avenger. Mixed reviews for this film as well. Some people loved it, some people hated it, but it was the first time we got to get this introduction. I believe this movie came out right before the very first Avengers movie, but we saw Captain America on screen, and that was the first time I actually saw anything Captain America related. I never read a Captain America comic book prior to this film. I saw it in a $5 theater in my old neighborhood. It was just like, I just didn't, it was a real ratchet theater, but seeing the movie was cool. And seeing this Captain America and hearing his story and how he becomes a super soldier and what he stands for and his whole ideology and all that stuff was just so cool to see. And man, like, Chris Evans was born to play this role, because when I saw him, I'm like, wait, it's not the dude that played Johnny Storm. But now he's playing Captain America, so I thought that was really cool. So because of that, I'm going to give Captain America the First Avenger an A ranking. This movie goes right at the top there, an A ranking. Yes, it's above the first Avenger, Age of Ultron. Don't judge me. There we go. So far, so good. I'm actually going to keep Avengers Endgame for last, since that's the most recent. Well, Far From Home is not even on this list, I believe. I don't think Far From Home is on this list. So this is 22 movies, but I'll tell you where I place Far From Home anyway, since it's not physically on this list. Someone didn't update this list, but I will leave Endgame and Far From Home for last. Coming up is Captain Marvel. Oh, the controversy for Captain Marvel. People loved it. People hated it. People was all over the place with Captain Marvel. And y'all know me if y'all been following again. For those who just seen this video for the first time, you don't know. But those who've been subscribed already know this. Y'all know I've been supporting Captain Marvel. I've been supporting Brie Larson. I got her comic books. I got Captain Marvel's comic books. I really love Captain Marvel. I got a shirt. Like, I love Captain Marvel. And I love the movie. I thought the movie was great. And I love the soundtrack too. And because of that, I'm going to give Captain Marvel an A ranking. That goes above A for me. Again, if you guys want to, and a little bit of a fun thing, if you guys want to go on Tier Maker and make your own list, go ahead and do that and send it to me on my Twitter. Like, just tag me in your ranking on Twitter. Let me know, or let me know down below what you would put as your S ranking and all that stuff. And I think it's easy if you go to the website, make it yourself, screenshot it, and tag me on Twitter at Matthew V. Haynes, or send it to me on Instagram at Matthew V. Haynes, and I'll definitely share it. Here we go, Captain America: Civil War. Basically, I like to call this Avengers 2.5 or maybe Avengers, Avengers 2.5 maybe, because it's kind of sort of like an Avengers movie, but it wasn't. And we're just seeing this, obviously, this argument, and that's when we first see Tony and Captain America really like separate from, their both beliefs and all that stuff. So it was cool to see that. We got the introduction to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, which is one of the greatest additions into the MCU so far. And all over, man, the movie literally changed my life. Like, right before I started my YouTube channel was when I saw this movie, and later on that year is when I started my YouTube channel, and I talked about this movie, and it was just great. So a great movie, great score, great fights. The whole story was compelling. The whole story was emotional, and I love Captain America: Civil War. I'm going to give this movie an S rank. There you go. The S rank is filling up. S rank is filling up. So far, we got no low scores. So far, the lowest one we have is the D from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Here we have Doctor Strange. This movie's a hit or miss for most people. A lot of people put it in the same category as Ant-Man, but for me, I enjoyed Doctor Strange. I love all that, the abstract art and the whole idea of the, you know, astral plane and traveling to different dimensions, and the whole idea of Doctor Strange and this magic. I've always loved like magic movies, magic TV shows, books, anything to do with mages and all that stuff. I always find it very, very interesting. So obviously Doctor Strange was a close thing to me, but for me, I'm gonna give this movie a B rank. I'm gonna give this movie a B rank. Isn't the strongest Marvel film, but it's not the worst either. I'll give it a B rank. I definitely put it above Avengers. You know what? Let me actually change that. I'm not going to give it a B rank. I'm going to give Doctor Strange actually a C rank. I'm going to put it in the same category with Avengers Age of Ultron because it's good, but it's not bad. Right? It's not great. It's not bad. So we'll leave it at that. Avengers Endgame, we'll skip that for now. We'll go to Guardians of the Galaxy. Again, great film. Okay, I've seen it way too much. Love the cast, love Chris Pratt, love Batista. I just love everyone in this movie, and the movie was funny, emotional. I think it was the first time we actually seen the Avenger, or maybe the Avengers, the first time we've seen any Marvel movie outside of Earth. Everything was outer space and the interdimensional travel. And if you love Star Wars, chances are, and you like Marvel, and you gotta love Guardians of the Galaxy. But the song choices, Awesome Mix Volume 1, I was actually listening to it like 2 days ago, Volume 1 and Volume 2, because the song choices that James Gunn chose for this film was very appropriate, and every song I can like associate it with a scene in this film. So I'm actually going to give Guardians of the Galaxy an S rank right at the top, guys. I'm going to give this an S rank because there's a movie that I can put on anytime during the year, anytime during the day, and I will love every single part of it without any complaints. So right after that, we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume number 2. I didn't like it as much as the first one. A lot of guys did, but Chris Pratt's scene towards the end with Yondu and their bond and all that was very emotional. I think it was one of the best performances we've seen from Chris Pratt so far. I haven't seen the Jurassic World stuff, so I don't know, but from just based on what I've seen in the MCU, Chris Pratt really did a good job in that scene, displaying his emotion for that. And of course the soundtrack was really good. I just didn't like a lot of the story. Some of the pacing kind of fell off a little bit for me, and we had the introduction to Mantis and so on, and Groot, you know, and all, you know, Baby Groot and all that stuff. But it's just I didn't like it as much as the first one. So for that one, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I'm actually going to give that movie a C rank as well. I'm gonna give that movie a C rank. Didn't love it, didn't hate it, just right in the middle, right where it needs to be. Spider-Man Homecoming, first solo film for the MCU Spider-Man, and again, Tom Holland does a great job. I ranked actually all 8 of the Spider-Man films, so if you guys have not seen that video, please click that card right above there. You guys can watch that video right after where I ranked all of the 8 Spider-Man films. I excluded Venom, I didn't put that in, but I can maybe do another list, maybe similar to this, and do a tier listing thing here. But Spider-Man Homecoming was good. Fun, enjoyable. We got to see Spidey kind of do certain things on his own with a little bit of assist from Tony Stark. And altogether, guys, I mean, Tom Holland just always does a great performance playing Spider-Man and Peter Parker. And I love the soundtrack again by Michael Giacchino. So this movie is going to be an A-rank film. Again, I'm going to actually, you know what? I'm going to change. I'm going to make that movie a B-rank film because there's some certain things about the movie I didn't like, but still altogether pretty fun. Hey guys, we got a few more movies to go, guys, so sit tight. Let's get it. The Incredible Hulk. I haven't seen this movie in a while, and it's not particularly my favorite film in the MCU. There's not much I have to say about it. It was alright. It was cool when I was younger when I saw it, but watching it back now, I'm not a huge fan of it. So I'm actually going to give this movie an E. I'm not a huge fan of the Incredible Hulk film, and I want to see another Hulk film done, but I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. It was alright. Maybe if I give it another watch, I place it a little bit higher, but as of right now, I'm not seeing this movie anywhere more than a D for me, more than an E for me. So I'm going to give that movie an E. I'm actually going to skip over some of these and go straight to Captain America. So, Captain America Winter Soldier, actually. And we're going to take Winter Soldier, again, one of the best out of all of these. Some of the best action and hand-to-hand combat scenes between Winter Soldier and Captain America. I can just go on YouTube and just watch all the fight scenes, just seeing Bucky and Cap fight. It was just so awesome, man. And the little rapport that he had with Black Widow was also cool in this movie. So I'm going to give Captain America Winter Soldier an S rank. Straight at the top, one of the best out of all of these movies for sure. From there, we're moving on to Thor. So Thor, another earlier entry in the early phase of the MCU, trying to kind of get this world up and running. Majority of the movies was Thor just spent walking around. Like, the beginning was cool and seeing all the fights and all that, but the movie just spent with Thor just walking around Earth like a fish out of water scene and everything. And we didn't really get to see a lot of cool Thor moments, you know, except for the beginning, which again was very awesome, and it's a little bit towards the end. But with that, you know, it was just like, it was all right, man. So I'm actually gonna give Thor a D. I'm gonna give Thor a D. I'm gonna give Thor a D. It's not, it's not really my favorite, but I can watch it if it's on TV or something. If I'm rewatching the entire franchise, I would watch it again. But I'll give it a D. We'll just leave it at that. Now, Thor: The Dark World. I don't want to talk too much about this film. I did not like it. The whole elf storyline was stupid. Just this whole thing, just with the ether and all of it was just dumb. This movie's an F for me. I don't like Thor: The Dark World. The Frigga scene was cool. The funeral scene was cool, you know. But I don't like Thor: The Dark World. So I'm giving it an F. I don't even want to talk about it much more. Some good things and some bad things, but I'm gonna give that movie an F. Sorry. Thor Ragnarok. I'm gonna put Thor Ragnarok in the C category, and the reason I'm putting Thor Ragnarok in the C category is because it was funny at first. You know, it had cool moments. It was nice to see action, and I put it above all the other Thor movies because we got to see Chris Hemsworth really make an identity with Thor, make an identity of the character, and we had to see him go through these certain things and get a nice cool power up and all that stuff. It was pretty cool to see, and Taika Waititi did a good job directing it, and just the castmates and seeing Hulk in there and going to another planet and all that stuff was very cool. I love that aspect of it, and it's still gonna be one of my favorites to this day for sure. All right, so we're moving on to the Iron Man films. I kind of just realized I glossed over a lot of things. We're moving on to the Iron Man films, and Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, without a doubt, gets an S rank. Okay, this was the first like official movie that really started this whole MCU route, started this whole thing, leaded the way, and changed a lot of things. Like, this movie changed a lot of lives, man. I remember watching this movie when it first came out. Didn't know anything about Iron Man, like a lot of people who, you know, unless you read the comics. I didn't know anything about Iron Man. I didn't know anything about the character, what he was, his whole personality. But Robert Downey Jr. did a very good job, you know, giving us a likable character from the start. I heard a lot of lines were improv later on, and just watching them, like, okay, this movie is really cool. And I could watch the movie over and over again and always love this film. It's definitely one of my favorites to this day. I will never ever, I think, put this movie below an S. Like, this movie is an S rank movie without a doubt. Seeing Tony struggle from building his suit to going and becoming a different person, transforming into the man that we saw him in Avengers Endgame, to, you know, having the beginning from when he just started up just caring about himself, and then going on to having a daughter and started caring about everyone else. So that was really cool to see. Next, we have Iron Man 2. Wasn't the best film, wasn't the worst one either. A lot of people didn't like it, but I liked it too. The whole thing, and, you know, with the Russian guy, I keep forgetting his name, it was all right. It wasn't the best type of stuff. I'm actually going to give it a D. Okay, I'm going to give it a D. I would either give it somewhere between a D or a C. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm going to put it in a C, because we got it. And you know what? I'm changing it again. We're going to put it to B. There you go. That's my final decision. We're going to put it to B. And the only reason I said that is because we got Black Widow introduced into this whole world, and we got to see how everything tied in with that. And, you know, we, again, more development with Tony Stark as a character, trying to see, you know, seeing him become the man he is, and just the progression over time, and you know, just seeing how long everything comes. So definitely a B. The villain was all right, but it's not as worse as Iron Man 3's villain, the Mandarin. That whole situation was, no, it's not really my favorite movie. I'm going to put this movie here at an E, below all these other ones, because it's just, this movie was just, it had great promise, and it had the cool stuff. I mean, it was showing a lot of the PTSD moments that Tony Stark was going through post the incident in New York and all that. And this is right before, I think this movie is right before Age of Ultron started. So this just showed a lot of him struggling through that. but the Mandarin really killed it. Like Ben Kingsley and all that. It was just not a good, like, it was just not a good thing. And this movie was just bad. Okay, we can leave that as an E. So these two, Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, very simple enough. Avengers Infinity War, without a doubt, is going to be an S rank film. Okay, that movie, hands down, S rank. Okay, we got to see everyone come in. This is the moment everyone was literally waiting for. Everything leading up to this, Thanos finally coming on, doing things, you know, looking for the Infinity Stones, fighting with the Avengers, fighting with stones, without the stones. The movie starts out with Thanos and Hulk just having an awesome epic fight, and just seeing just the turmoil and just the damage and the carnage that he does over time leading up to Endgame was just, oh man, I've seen this movie way too much times in the theaters. A lot of people saw it too. The final battle scene towards back in Wakanda was awesome. Seeing all the Wakandans running out. The fight on Titan was also really cool. So this movie, without a doubt, is an S rank. Okay, animation great, CGI great in my opinion, villains are great, story great, soundtrack great. However, again, Avengers Endgame, S rank. S rank. I can't give Avengers Endgame anything lower than that. It's going to be an S rank for me. Okay, Avengers Endgame really solidified a lot of things and created some closure for certain characters, and soundtrack was awesome, and we got a lot of things. A lot of people would actually give Avengers Endgame an A rank, and I can see why. I can probably give Avengers Endgame an A rank as well, maybe, but I would say anywhere between an A and an S. But for now, I'm just gonna give it an S ranking because, come on, I mean, you can't not give Endgame an S ranking. Okay, awesome fights, time travel, even though I'm not a huge fan of how they did the time travel thing. I prefer the conventional method of time travel, but you know, like how they handle time travel in The Flash, I kind of prefer it that way, where what you do in the past affects the future. But they had a way that they tried to explain it in this movie, which I was like, all right, it's okay, maybe we can allow that to pass or whatever. But we see a lot of passing on of torches. We lost some characters, an emotional scene towards the end, Tony Stark saving the day and him eventually passing on will forever be one of the saddest moments in MCU history for me. That, and when Tony Stark found out that Bucky was the one that killed his mom, definitely heartbreaking. And Spider-Man Far From Home is not here on the list, but I would give Spider-Man Far From Home a B or an A. As a matter of fact, I would give it an A ranking because I saw it again recently with my grandfather about last week. I saw it again and I enjoyed it a lot more the second time more than I did the first time. So Spider-Man Far From Home definitely goes on the A ranking for me. And again, seeing Spider-Man and actually Zendaya and Tom Holland, I actually started to like their characters more on my second viewing, and I want to see the movie again for the third time because there's a lot of cool things in it, and it was actually a really, really good movie. So there you guys have it, man. I'm going to just go over it. My S rank, my F rank movie, Thor, Dark World, F. My E rank is going to be The Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 3. Coming in rank D, Ant-Man and the Wasp and Thor. Rank C, right there in the middle, Avengers Age of Ultron, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume Number 2, and Thor Ragnarok. Right slightly above that in rank B, Ant-Man, Spider-Man, Homecoming, and Iron Man 2. My A ranking, I only have 2 movies, and it really should be more than that in my A ranking for some reason. I feel like my A ranking is a little bit empty, but that's mainly just because most of my movies are in the S ranking. But Captain America: The First Avenger and Captain Marvel. In my S ranking, we have Avengers 1, Black Panther, Captain America: Civil War, Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Iron Man, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame. So there you go, guys. That's my list. That's my ranking. If you guys enjoyed it, please let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys want to see more rankings like this in like this type of format, also let me know down below, and I'll try to do them more that way. I think this format is really fun, doing the whole ranking system, because it allows multiple movies to be placed on a specific tier list without having to, you know, isolate them into a singular one, which one is worse and best. You can kind of put them on the same levels if you can, which I think is really cool. So I can do this for a lot of other things. I can do this for MCU. I can do this for anime. I can do this for anything. So if you guys want to see more, let me know down below. You know what to do. I'll see you in the next one. Clockmaster out. All right, do yourself a favor, watch my recent video somewhere here, watch the other video down there, and subscribe. Make sure to do that too. Waiting.